Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table. It's a Sunday afternoon, and you're doing that thing where you open your banking app, stare at the number, close it, then open it again like somehow the balance changed in the last 4 seconds. And it didn't. It never does. You've got maybe $400 in checking, a few hundred in savings if you're lucky, and this quiet, creeping feeling in the back of your head that no matter how hard you work, no matter how many extra shifts you pull or side hustles you try, you just can't seem to get ahead. And the worst part isn't even the number itself. The worst part is this feeling that you're running on a treadmill, working your legs off and going absolutely nowhere. Sound familiar?
I want to talk to you today about something that completely changed how I think about money. And I genuinely believe it's one of the most underrated turning points in personal finance that almost nobody talks about, honestly. My name is Nico, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial psychology, and why some people stay stuck while others, sometimes earning way less, build real, lasting wealth. If this video helps you see money differently, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up because I put a lot into these and your support genuinely keeps this going.
Now here's what most people believe. Most people think that getting ahead financially is about income. Make more money, problem solved. And look, income matters. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it doesn't. But here's the thing that nobody in your life is probably telling you right now. The first $10,000 you save is not just a number. It is a psychological threshold. It is a neurological event. It is the single moment where the entire game of money changes. Not because of what $10,000 can buy you, which honestly isn't that much in 2024, but because of what it does to your brain, your decisions, and your relationship with opportunity itself. And most people have no idea this even exists. Think about it this way. Right now, if you have less than a few $100s saved, every single financial decision you make is being filtered through a survival lens. Your brain is in what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. And here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just motivational fluff. This is literal neuroscience. When your brain perceives financial scarcity, it triggers your cortisol system, the same stress hormone that kicks in when you're being chased by something dangerous.
And cortisol, when it's chronically elevated, actually impairs your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for long-term planning, rational decision-making, and impulse control. So the cruelest joke in personal finance is this. The less money you have, the worse your brain physically becomes at making the decisions that would help you get more of it.
Researchers at Princeton and Harvard published a study on this, and the results were stunning. They found that financial stress consumed the equivalent of about 13 IQ points of cognitive bandwidth. To put that in perspective, that's the same cognitive impact as pulling an all-nighter. You are essentially making financial decisions while mentally sleep-deprived, and you don't even know it. Sound familiar now? But here's the part that will blow your mind. Once you cross certain financial thresholds, and $10,000 is absolutely one of them, that scarcity signal in your brain starts to quiet down. Not all the way, not forever, but enough. Enough to start thinking weeks and months ahead instead of just this Friday. Enough to negotiate your salary instead of just being grateful they called you back. Enough to let a good opportunity pass without panicking, because you know you have a cushion. The $10,000 isn't just money sitting in an account. It is permission your brain gives itself to stop playing defense and start playing offense.
Now let's talk about the math, because this is where I think people really underestimate what's happening. Most people have no idea this even exists, and it has to do with compound interest and what's called the snowball effect. When you have zero saved and you're trying to build wealth, every dollar you put away is fighting against all the financial friction in your life. Unexpected car repairs, a medical copay, a friend's wedding you forgot about, and these things wipe out your progress constantly. You save $500, something happens, you're back at zero. You save $800, your tire blows, you're back at $200. This isn't bad luck. This is the math of having no buffer. It's statistically inevitable. But think about it this way. Once you have $10,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account earning around 4.5 to 5% today, something different happens.
First, that account is now generating roughly $500 a year in interest without you doing a single thing. That's not retirement money, I know, but here's what that means practically. Your financial friction, those random $200 and $300 emergencies that used to reset your savings, now gets absorbed by that cushion instead of destroying your momentum. The snowball doesn't melt anymore, it just rolls.
And when you take that $10,000 and you run it through a standard compound interest calculator, let's say you add nothing else, just let it sit in an index fund averaging 8% annually. In 30 years, that single pile of money becomes roughly $100,000 from one decision, from one threshold. That's the math. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the math is actually the smaller part of the story. The bigger part is the identity shift. Here's an analogy I want you to hold on to. Imagine pushing a boulder up a hill. For the first half of the hill, every inch is agony. It's slow, it's painful, you're exhausted, and the boulder keeps threatening to roll back down and crush you. That's what it feels like to save your first $10,000. Every month, something tries to take it from you. But once you crest that hill, once you hit that threshold, the boulder starts to roll on its own. Momentum takes over, and you go from pushing to steering.
Most people have no idea that the $10,000 milestone is specifically the crest of that hill for most middle-class Americans. After that point, statistically, people who reach it continue to save. Before that point, the vast majority reset repeatedly. It's not a willpower problem. It's a momentum problem. It's a brain chemistry problem. And once you understand that, you stop blaming yourself and you start engineering your way out. Here's where I want to give you something really practical, because I don't want this to just be interesting. I want it to change what you do tomorrow morning. The first shift is what I call walking away money, and it might be the most underrated concept in personal finance. When you have $10,000 saved, you can walk away from a bad job. You can walk away from a predatory car dealer who's trying to play games with your monthly payment.
You can walk away from a toxic client if you're freelancing. You can wait for the better offer instead of accepting the first one. Think about it this way. Every financial negotiation in your life gets better the moment someone believes you don't desperately need the deal. And the only way to genuinely not need the deal is to have money that proves it. $10,000 gives you that energy. It changes how you carry yourself. Employers feel it. Landlords feel it. It's not arrogance, it's options. The second shift is career leverage. Here's something that kills me when I think about how many people are leaving money on the table right now. Studies consistently show that people who job hop strategically every 2 to 3 years rather than waiting for a raise earn 50% more over a decade than those who stay. But most people can't afford to make that move because they have nothing saved. They can't afford a gap. They can't afford to interview for 2 months while being picky. They take the first thing. And the first thing is usually 10 to 20% less than what they would have gotten if they had the luxury of waiting. $10,000 buys you those 2 months. That's it. That's the math. Now, here's the warning I have to give you, because I see people make this mistake constantly. Don't do this. Don't treat $10,000 as an achievement to celebrate by spending it. I know that sounds obvious, but the psychological pull once you hit that number is real. You start to feel like you've won something, and your brain, the same brain that was starving for permission to relax, will start generating really creative reasons to use it. A vacation you deserve, a car upgrade, a home renovation. And look, I'm not saying you can never enjoy your money, but I am saying there's a specific window between $10,000 and about $25,000 where people are most vulnerable to lifestyle inflation. And most people have no idea this even exists as a risk zone. That first $10,000 is not your reward, it's your foundation.
The third shift, and this one is subtle but important, is decision quality. When you're operating from scarcity, you make expensive decisions. You buy the cheaper, lower quality item that breaks in 6 months, and you buy it twice. You choose the lower salary job because it started sooner. You don't negotiate because you're afraid the offer disappears. Abundance, even just the first taste of it, reverses all of that.
You start playing a longer game automatically because your brain finally has the safety to do it.
Here's where it all comes together. The $10,000 isn't the destination, but it is, without question, the most important doorway. Everything before it is about survival. Everything after it is about strategy. And the reason so few people talk about this specific threshold is because personal finance has been sold to you either as cut your avocado toast or just invest in index funds. Nobody tells you about the neurological event that happens in between. Nobody draws the line and says, right here at this number, your brain changes, your options change, your identity changes.
Look, getting to $10,000 isn't going to make you rich overnight, but it will fundamentally change how you think about money and opportunity. The person you become once you've crossed that line, disciplined enough to build it, patient enough to protect it, and smart enough to use it as a launch pad, that person is worth far more than the 10 grand itself. Start building that foundation today because your future self is counting on the decision you make right now.